Mhm. Oh, hey there, fraud and audit friends and family. Listen, you've seen them before. Look, you're sitting at a red light. You look over at a telephone pole or a stop sign, and there's that plastic sign written on a Sharpie, and it says something like, "We buy houses for cash." Or maybe it's "Get cash fast for your junk car." And you always think to yourself, who in the world is actually calling that number? Who just sees a sign stapled to a piece of wood next to a Taco Bell and thinks, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do is sell something to somebody that feels shady. You ever had that experience before? Here's what that taught me. There's a market for everything. And if you're desperate enough, or if you've got, well, some funds that you need to raise by selling things, there's a market for it. Now, I know you think I'm crazy right now based on that intro, but just stick around and you'll see how I tie it all together. Because today's episode is real, real crazy. I know I say that every week, right? But isn't it true every week? So, are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right. Hey, welcome back to this episode of the Friday Fraudster. So listen. You heard the intro. Now, let me ask you all a question. What is the strangest "We Buy It" sign you've ever seen? Not the houses, not the cars. I'm talking about the ones that really made you take a double take because it's something that you don't see that often. And so, without further ado, I'm going to bring up the people you all really want to see. Thomas, Christine, Stephanie, how you guys doing?
Good.
You got a full house.
I almost feel like we're on the Brady Bunch.
I hope I did that right.
Those Hollywood squares.
Oh, there's another one, right? Almost forgot about the Hollywood squares. Okay. So look, seriously. For you all, the question I asked, what's the strangest "We Buy This" sign that you've ever seen?
I've seen mattresses.
Really?
Yeah. But they're usually like fundraisers for school. But yeah, it's kind of weird.
I've only seen houses or junk cars. Not that that's it.
Dirt. We buy clean dirt.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Okay.
Nobody wants dirty dirt.
So mattresses. Dirt. Okay. That's pretty interesting. All right, so look, Carol is here. She says, "Happy Friday, everyone." Heather, TGIF. Heather, I hope you are well. Heather, how you doing? We hadn't talked in a while. Oh, wait a minute. Who is this? Let's see. Oh, that's Carol again. Says, "Wow, full house." Yeah. Wait a minute. Stop. Heather, you've seen We Buy Hair?
Well, they
Really?
make wigs for cancer patients and things. So I've seen like real hair.
Yeah, I
Not,
mean,
not signs on the side of the road.
well, that's kind of what I was getting at. So yeah, that is a weird one, but I'm wondering if Heather has seen a sign on the side of the road saying "We Buy Hair."
That's a unique one.
Well,
I haven't seen that one.
my job is to ask the provocative questions, and oftentimes I have a provocative answer, but honestly, houses and cars have been the only thing that I've seen. Stephanie's doing double duty.
I'm talking to myself, right?
All right, so look, so Carol, what's the strangest thing you've seen? The "We Buy Whatever," those signs on the side of the road, because today's is really gonna, it's gonna freak everybody out. You're gonna be like, really? That? Oh boy. So while you guys are thinking about that, today we're gonna talk about a story that really feels like a back alley transaction. It's not the signs that we pass by every day. So it's not houses, it's not junk cars. And I'm just going to jump right into it. Today is cash for diabetic test strips. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Staff Sergeant Richard Stefan Ramrup. He's 35. He works at the Davis Monthon Air Force Base Pharmacy. And he's got a husband, Manuel Madrid. Now, the interesting thing about these two is they lived in a pretty ritzy area, and we know the salaries for staff sergeants, they're decent. But you know what that pay scale looks like. Think about these two individuals having a multi-million-dollar house, and out in front was a Porsche 2024 and another car, a BMW i7 SUV. Those cars totaled about $330,000 in front of a multi-million-dollar home on a staff sergeant's salary.
Well, doesn't everybody join the military to get rich?
Right.
There you go. Now, Heather is saying she has seen signs saying we buy hair.
All right.
You want some afro hair?
Rob's
Got a
going to
little
get
bit
off
for you.
here and start selling his.
I've got a little bit of hair for you.
Sell it while you got it.
Oh, boy. Oof. Sheesh. Well, 9 months ago, I didn't have this big of an afro, right? So
It also depends on which AI picture you use today, how big your hair is.
it's what, it's actually pretty big now. I pat it down a little bit so that it doesn't look so big, Okay, so listen. The Air Force Office of Special Investigations, they thought something was strange that they lived in a multi-million-dollar home with, almost $500,000 worth of cars out front too. As a matter of fact, on February 11th, they unsealed an indictment. And here's what happened. Ramrup, he worked at a pharmacy. He was a pharmacist for the military. He used his access to the base pharmacy to order thousands of medical devices. Now, we've talked about medical devices here before, but he did something a little different. Mostly what he ordered was those test strips on the government's tab. But here's where it gets interesting. He'd walk out with the test strips, and he and his husband would sell them to those buyback companies. The ones where you see the signs with houses or anything where they buy stuff from people and then sell them at a markup. But the way they did it was pretty interesting because he couldn't sell them directly out of the government office. And if he took them out with him, somebody might have followed him, right? The government could have followed the trail. So what he'd do is they would meet up at the gas station and he would swap cars with his co-conspirator. So they would meet at the gas station close to the base, exchange cars. He'd go wherever he needed to go, back to work or home. And then the other person would go and deliver the goods to where they were storing them, most times out of his home. Isn't that crazy?
I would just find it weird if one of my coworkers left with one car and came back with another one like once a week.
Right.
Right?
Surveillance showed him loading boxes from a warehouse, an Air Force warehouse, into his truck and leaving the base. Nothing to see.
Yeah. So they got him on video leaving the Air Force warehouse, but he thought that simply exchanging cars would throw them off the trail.
So they caught him in like a week, right? I mean, it sounds like something very easy and quick to pick up, right?
I think it happened for 3 years.
Yep.
Or so,
4?
for some reason, my hand is getting merged, but yeah, 4 years.
Well, yeah, 4 years. So it happened for 4 years. It took them 4 years to figure out that this stuff was missing. Here's the real interesting part, though. The government lost about $3 million in inventory. So that's the value. Now, their bank accounts showed $11 million in payouts. So they were selling this stuff at a massive markup,
That's a huge markup.
gigantic. I mean, just.
I mean, you figure the military probably gets, way better than
And
your,
you said
your
it was
Walgreens
testing.
or something in costs.
Yep.
So that's
Testing
that.
strips.
Yeah, and if I think I looked it up, and the testing strips online, something like $300 for 3 or $200 for 3, something like that for regular
They're
price.
crazy expensive.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know some people are diabetic and
That
they
is
literally go
ridiculous.
up to Canada to get some things for themselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Well,
you wonder how much, like, so if the military is paying one amount, I think it was what, like, I don't know if you've covered that amount yet,
It
but then they're
was
selling it
3
for
million.
11 million. But then who they're selling it to has to make a profit. So how much were the consumers paying for some of this stuff? I mean, that's just markup after markup after markup.
well, and here's the thing. Those aftermarket companies, the we buy houses, we buy cars, they have a niche for a reason. And in this case, they were selling to people who didn't have insurance, because obviously these things are fairly cheap through insurance. Well, they're free to us, but cheaper through the insurance companies. And so if you don't have insurance, you're going to seek out another option. And that's the need that they filled. Now, I also imagine that they were able to get it cheaper from this gentleman than any of their other suppliers. Well, because he wasn't paying for it, and so he could charge whatever he wanted to, and so he could undercut the real market.
It looks like they also stole 3,200 Dexcom G6 sensor units.
Like the readers.
Yep.
Which those are anywhere from 180 to 300 for a 30-day supply.
Wow.
Okay.
Diversify your portfolio.
So let's dig into this now, talking about the cost for a minute. In all seriousness, those buyback companies, they're secondary market wholesalers, right? They operate in legal but gray areas. And so their business model is quite simple. They buy unused, unopened medical supplies for cash from individuals, usually at about 10 to 20% of retail. So if I've gone to the doctor and I've gotten a bunch of those medical strips, but I'm not going to use them all, I might sell them to someone else. I remember back in the day, one of the big things was those breathing machines for kids when they would have upper respiratory infections. Those would be big, especially the little packets that came with them. The doctors would always hand you too many, and you would have so many left over.
Or you got a loved one that passed away and they have a room full of all sorts of things that was never used. And you don't want to like throw it away. You want it to go to good use. Somebody will use it.
There you go. Yeah. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting, though, because a lot of times when people commit fraud, they want to cover it up somehow. And so they might open up a shell company. They might open up a bank account offshore that is hard to trace or harder to trace. Well, they were receiving money directly in their personal bank account, and they were spending the money directly out of their personal bank account. And it gets even better. They were using Zelle for a lot of the transactions.
whole
Our
new word
favorite.
for military intelligence.
Well, I mean, he was just a pharmacist, though, right? So
Bro. Usually they're pretty smart though.
I was
Well,
gonna
I
say,
don't know if he
Heather, unless
was.
they had empty boxes. Wasn't that last week's story?
Well,
Sorry, Thomas. I didn't mean to
no,
cut
no, no, no. Let's keep going.
oh, I thought you had something you were about to add. So-
Nothing wise. Nope.
I mean, if you're gonna do something no good, are you gonna really put your personal accounts?
I mean, you definitely want to try and conceal your fraudulent transactions through Zelle in your personal bank account. That's the way to go. For anyone listening who thinks this is a how-to, that's how you do it.
That's right. Go ahead.
And make sure it's very obvious that you're spending about 10 times what your expected salary is. That won't set off any red flags at all.
Yes, none at all.
None.
This is your how-to lesson for the day. But think about this. Think about this. So, in all seriousness, though, so he would be at work. He'd load the stuff into his car. He'd meet his partner at a gas station. They would switch cars. He would go either home or back to work or whatever, thinking that that would throw people off the logistics trail. His partner would then go home, load the stuff into the garage. They would place order. They would fulfill orders out of his own garage. UPS would come to his house to pick up the orders for the things that he sold. We've got a criminal mastermind here.
Well, it's not like you
We've got
set
a
up a
criminal
stand in his front
mastermind.
yard.
We've got a criminal mastermind that it took the government 4 years to catch.
Right? Yeah.
What if they would have done this for 2 years, gotten $5.5 million of the 11, and then just disappeared?
They
Ooh.
probably
Stop.
got caught.
What was that, Stephanie?
They may not have gotten caught.
Yeah.
There's no telling.
I couldn't find it. I want to know how they got caught.
And I saw that it's just the investigators. They had them on video loading up the vehicles.
Well, at some point, I mean, I would think that if you look at what branch of the military was this? Did you? I don't remember off the top
Air
of my head.
Force.
Thank you.
Air Force.
I thought it was Air Force. So you would think if you compare all of the Air Force bases, either around the world or just in the U.S., and if something tells me they're a little bit above average when it comes to some of these materials, right? I mean, wouldn't just a standard either monthly or even quarterly review of what they're going through, what they're buying, wouldn't that set off a red flag of, hey, maybe we want to check out why we have an astronomical amount of test strips going through this one Air Force base?
Or inventory.
Yeah.
Or I'm guessing they have to know who of their employees is diabetic and how many supplies they would need in a certain amount of time. Do you know what I'm like? If all of a sudden you're going, oh yeah, we got an extra $10,000 billing, but we didn't add anybody who is diabetic that we need supplies for, that would be a red flag.
Yeah, Bob is saying, that's not how it works. They will get more brazen because they're getting away with it until they are caught. Now, here's the thing. While they don't say exactly how it was caught, our educated guesses here, I think, are appropriate and right, close to right. Somebody somewhere noticed that the inventory was missing, because think about how many organizations had to collaborate. So the Air Force, they handle the base surveillance and the warehouse logs. So they saw him loading it from his car, as someone said earlier. The IRS got involved. The IRS followed the $11 million in wire transfers to the Porsche purchase. Homeland Security, they actually monitored the interstate shipping, so they followed the UPS trail. And then the FBI and the DEA provided passport support in January, is one thing for the raid, is what one other document said. And then the Tucson Mesa Police Department assisted in the physical search and seizure of the home. So you had a bunch of different organizations that came together in order to bring this down. But I do think the tip off was him loading stuff into his car, and somebody probably said something. And, now you got the surveillance video being watched, and all of this behavior was just strange.
It's making me wonder if it was FinCEN that kicked him off because of them
Ooh.
talking about how his income didn't mirror what his position would bring in.
Like, were there SARs filed by his bank?
Yeah, because of all the activity that was coming in. And then that's what kicked off those other agencies of getting involved.
Could be.
And the thing is, I believe that it's probably strategic that they didn't say, because in a lot of indictments, they'll say, they'll just lay it out. This is how this thing happened. But this one, I couldn't find in any of the information available exactly how it happened.
I
mean,
think the
I want to
government
know.
wants to advertise how it happened.
Right, Stephanie,
Right.
like we want to know, but we don't want to know because then it just helps people continue doing this in new ways of getting around it if they know what you're looking for.
Now, the part that struck me as interesting is so I worked in healthcare, right? I was a chief auditor in healthcare. Those durable goods, as well as your drugs, you had tight security around those because they were popular items to steal. So what happened with the controls over the inventory? I think Heather said that earlier. She said someone is not doing an inventory count.
Unless he's the one that was doing the inventory count.
He was. He was ordering and he was doing the inventory counts.
Oh, Lord.
So they also didn't have a segregation of duties that you normally should have whenever you're purchasing anything for any company, as far as who's ordering it, who's receiving it, and who's matching.
Yep. Absolutely correct.
Yep.
Just fascinating, right?
It's just
Okay.
a reminder that the most simple, basic controls are still important and we need to consider them. It's not glamorous, it's not sexy, but it's so basic that it would have saved, $3 million worth of stolen, items if just very basic segregation of duties was in place.
Yeah. Just have like a dual control on some of these things.
Yeah.
Well, here's the one thing that's interesting to me. So we know that it was $3 million worth of inventory that was discovered. Did they discover it all?
Guessing not.
So there's one of the cars. That's an actual picture of the Porsche. And there's the BMW.
I can't believe how expensive those cars are. Porsche is
Okay,
like
so I'm not
$140,000.
the only one.
And then the BMW is like almost $200,000. Like, what's inside there?
Does that look like $200,000 to you?
No.
No, not at all.
Well, so I saw an
Clearly.
article on, it was like Road and Driver magazine or something like that, something that specializes in cars. And they actually gave them these guys credit. They're like, hey, at least they have good taste in cars of what they got. So there you go.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh
the
boy.
government will get some money back selling them.
Do we have a picture of the house?
You know what? I don't have a picture of the house, but I have a picture of the guy. Wait a minute. Where is it?
Didn't that have the house in the background?
So let's show a picture of our guy here. Do 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 do.
Just don't see how their filings can't give an address if that's where they lived.
So there's the guy.
Oh yeah. It's the selfie photo in the bathroom, it looks like. Real classy. He looks so young.
Well, he's 35.
Oh, that is young.
He
Yeah,
looks way younger in that picture though.
he does. He really does. Um, yeah, I tried to find a picture of the house, could not find a picture of the house. Um,
I wonder what his spouse did for a living. And maybe they thought that's where the money was coming from, so them having these luxury things wasn't necessarily. I don't think it said his spouse was also.
I didn't find that.
okay, so let's talk about the charges because these are all alleged. We don't know for a fact if they did this. They're innocent until proven guilty.
Even though they got them on tape.
Right. So, conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Um, and that was the fact that they orchestrated $11 million of of money electronically. The max penalty on that is 20 years. Then there's wire fraud, which is for each specific illegal transfer of funds. Maximum penalty on that is 20 years. Money laundering, which they bought the house and the cars with the dirty money, allegedly. So that's money laundering. Max penalty on that is 10 years. And then conspiracy, theft of government property. And that's 5 years, maximum penalty on that.
That blows me away. So you can steal from the government, you'll get 5 years.
Right? 5 years.
And if
That
you
seemed
really want to make it personal, they're stealing our money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Taxpayer
part
money.
there. That's the part. Now, get this. They could face fines of up to $250,000 per count or twice the value of the $11 million that they made. So they could be hit with a $22 million judgment. But back to Thomas's point, they stole taxpayer money, which so here's the thing that's interesting. Okay. So every country has military. That just makes sense. You want to protect your country. This upsets me because it's taking money out of military operations. I know there's some people who are anti-war or whatever, but the military protects our country. And most of them don't get paid enough anyway.
Yeah.
And this guy took an oath to protect the country,
Right.
not steal from it.
And granted, his role was as a pharmacist, but his oath was to protect the country.
Well, and the pharmacist is there to make sure our troops, and not just troops, but everybody in the military is healthy. They get the medicines they need. They get the services they need. If he's doing this much theft and fraud, then he's not concentrating on his job. So the services were lacking also.
Yeah. Yeah. Because imagine leaving your job in the middle of the day to go and deliver the stolen goods to whoever and then ship cars, switch cars. Like that. Like, how does
You
that?
think he was taking the Porsche to the base?
Well, that's the other thing, too. I think that would have been the tip off, too. Because, I mean, think about it. Kelly Paxton always tells us, do a parking lot audit.
Yep.
If those were the two cars that they had, for one, either one that he would have driven to work would have been way out of his price range.
He had to have like a beater he was driving to work or something.
I don't think he did. I really think that, back to Bob's word, I think they were that brazen. If you think about it, one of those cars probably cost more than some of our first homes. It definitely cost more than the
Oh
first
yeah,
house I bought.
same.
So, um,
I'm trying to
yeah,
do what Heather suggested, and I can't. At least the one that I thought might have been it. I know that's not $1 million house.
wait, where is it though? It might be depending on where it is.
Right? It's Arizona, so I mean,
It was valued at 320,
Ah.
and there's none of those vehicles in the driveway.
Oh my goodness. But if you think about it, so let's just go back because we talked about how the companies that buy these things operate in a gray area. So it's not illegal to buy these supplies off of people who obtain them legitimately. But it kind of speaks to the point that it's sad that we have to have this aftermarket because these things are not available to people at reasonable rates who don't have proper insurance. And
clearly
these
this
were,
company isn't doing their due diligence either, or they just, or it's willful blindness, where they don't want to know where they came from.
I think they don't want to know because if you think about it, they could get them from anywhere, anybody. Um, I, and I don't know if I would actually blame that third party supply provider though for this one. I don't know. I get what you're saying though, but I don't know if I would really blame
Yeah.
them. Like, do you really care? To a
Yeah,
certain
but we
But
extent,
what
should.
you do, huh?
but what individual is going to be like, oh hey, look, I just happen to have $3 million in medical supplies laying around when you want to buy it off of me? Oh, come on. I mean,
Ah, now we're getting somewhere because if he had set up the shell company, then we probably wouldn't care because it's a company. But since it was an individual,
Yeah.
I feel like the company maybe later down the road is going to be pulled into some legal proceedings.
oh, they will be pulled in. But I'm just saying, I think they would have a better out if they were buying from a company versus an individual. Yeah, I just had to stir the pot some.
Well, and you wonder if they're getting supplied by this guy, what else are they like? Who else are they getting supplied from also?
There you go.
And are there others on that military base that are supplying them?
So now this is how you speak to the due diligence that that company should have had in place. Because again, if it was a B2B transaction, another company having 500 boxes to sell you, it wouldn't have seemed too weird. Although you should have done some vendor due diligence to see how long that company had been around and in that business.
Yeah.
But if it was a standard B2B, probably no huge issue. This was an individual who had the money deposited into a personal bank account. It wasn't even a business bank account.
Yeah.
That's definitely something escalated.
Yeah, definitely red flags waving brighter than the red behind me. Darn it, me without my soundboard.
I'm kind of curious to know if that company was selling domestically or were they also shipping things out of the country? That'd be interesting to find out.
My guess is they were shipping out of the country. Yeah,
Countries that don't necessarily have a lot of access to some of these things and will pay a premium.
right. Because I mean, we definitely are huge importers in the U.S., but there's certain things in my research. Apparently, this is one of those things that we export.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it reminds me of the EpiPens, right? So over here we mark them up a lot, but I think over over there, anywhere else besides here, EpiPens are cheaper, whereas this may be the opposite. Well, not the opposite, more exaggerated. They're expensive over here and they're just super duper expensive over there. Somebody
So
was
I
like,
wonder how much money it is costing us as taxpayers for all of this investigation also. Because it says, according to this article, it was the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, the IRS Criminal Investigation, Homeland Security Task Force, other federal agencies, and local law enforcement agencies that were all working together for this case.
Yeah.
That's a lot of special investigators with a lot. That's a lot of money going to those groups to do this.
Well, and
Well,
then it
and
says
to
it's
your
being
go ahead.
says it's being processed through the prosecuted through the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of Arizona, Tucson. But I'm guessing there's also going to be some sort of procedures within like a military tribunal too,
Yeah.
since
Oh,
he's
you best
in the
believe there will be,
military.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? That additional cost, the cost to investigate. And even in cases that look like they should be a slam dunk, I mean, he's on tape. You've got him on film. You've got to make sure that you have all of your evidence together and sufficient so that it's not thrown out based on a technicality. By the way, the federal government has a crazy conviction rate of like 90 something plus percentage for cases that they actually have indicted and bring to trial. So these gentlemen should probably plea out. They should take a plea bargain because, yeah,
You know,
But yeah,
after
I'm
all, they are
guessing
on
the
tape.
husband. I'm guessing the husband is who's not supposedly not military is going to face different repercussions than
hmm.
the husband who's in the military.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the thing is, what happens if one decides to turn on the other? Because that's bound to happen to get a better deal. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
and I can see the non-military husband saying, I was just a pawn. He made me do it. Whatever. It'd be very, just point it all back on the airman.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That is my point. That's what I
Yep.
would see happening in this particular situation. So if you just joined us today, we're talking about a case where a gentleman who was a pharmacist in the military used his privileges to obtain those diabetic strips. In other words, allegedly he stole them. And upon stealing them, he would carry them out by loading them in his car. He would then meet a co conspirator at a gas station where they wouldn't just exchange the goods, they would exchange cars. So then he'd go back to work in some other car. That person would then take the goods to his home and he would sell them out of his home. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting, though, because he didn't set up a shell company, no type of fake company, in order to sell the goods to another company. He sold them directly to another company as an individual. And when he received the proceeds, allegedly, many of the transactions took place via Zelle and hit his personal bank account. There's a fraud story for you right there. I think you're on mute,
You're
Christine.
muted.
Sorry.
I didn't mute you.
I just turned it off because I coughed. It makes me wonder, like, the transfers going from Zelle to his personal bank account. Do you think Zelle monitors for people that have a significant amount of funds that are sitting in there?
Oh, of
Well,
course they
Think
do.
about that, Stephanie.
I think
Like,
Zelle has limitations, like monthly transfer limits, especially for individuals. So I'm not exactly sure. I think maybe each bank may set it. I'm not sure, but I
but
know
do
that
you know?
Zelle has limits.
Okay, so it's not like it's PayPal where they can hold that money on their platform. It's not like a fintech solution where they hold balances like PayPal and stuff, right?
Right. It's
Okay.
like, transfer, and you can transfer to yourself, you can transfer to others, but yeah,
Sorry,
a
I
lot
don't
of
use.
big, but it's nice because it's an instant transfer. If both people have been signed up for Zelle already, it's instant. Whereas like, when you get money in your PayPal, and then you're like, okay, if you don't want to pay the extra fee, you're waiting 3 days for the money. This Zelle is pretty instant,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if they have their own. TSA
Like a
So
Venmo.
monitoring or something.
Yeah, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like people could transfer money to me on my Venmo and I can keep it held there. Like I wonder
I
if
think
those type have like monitoring.
what's ACH?
Yeah.
so with Zelle, um, according to some research that I did, there is no universal Zelle limit. It's just based on the trust score with the bank. And you know, those can vary wildly, right? You all have your own internal metrics that you use to develop a trust score with your customers. Um, but here's the thing: if they both had business profiles with Zelle and at banks, which these were personal accounts, they could legally move probably about 120,000 a month, assuming that the limit was 60,000 a month.
Moving into a personal, I'm not sure how that. I haven't seen Zelle transfers that large in accounts for 3 institutions, but I'll say doesn't happen.
Now, the other thing with Zelle too, though, is their limits work on a rolling 24-hour and a rolling 30-day clock. So it's not necessarily calendar months or days that they work on. So that might make it easier, or might have made it easier for them to get the money transferred.
Yeah.
So yeah, Antoine Wood says happy Friday. Now Bob says it goes to the account not held elsewhere.
That's what I thought.
Oh wow. Okay, so apparently, so let's take a look at some Zelle limits. I've been able to find some Zelle limits. Chase has a daily limit on personal accounts. It could range anywhere from $500 to $10,000. Wells Fargo has a daily limit of $3,500 with a monthly limit of $20,000. Bank of America, $3,500 daily limit, $20,000 monthly limit.
Do we know if everything went through Zelle or if it was just part of it?
That I'm not sure.
It seems like a lot to balance for 4 years. You know, you make
Yeah,
one mistake and you could be setting off red flags.
11 million, that's a lot to go through Zelle. So
Yeah.
I think it's just one of the ways they did it. Maybe that's how they got them on the wire fraud, because they were doing those ACH transfers through Zelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting.
That's why healthcare is so expensive.
Right?
All right, so all of this again is alleged at this point, but very interesting how a pharmacist in the military was able to take supplies meant for diabetics, take them off base, exchange them with another individual, sell them to a third party, and get paid for those items. Makes you wonder what else has gotten legs and walked off of a military base.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. Do we know when they're going to be sentenced?
I
I
don't
think they were
have that
just
information.
Well, I
it
think it's
says
still, I know they've been indicted by a grand jury, but I think that's as far as it's gone, though, right? I don't think it's actually, I think it's still alleged, isn't it?
Well, that's true. It hasn't gone to trial yet. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So it says the search warrant was January 15th, and that was what, like just a little over a month ago this year.
Okay. So it could be a couple years.
Well, and then the military gentleman could face, well, probably will face a dishonorable discharge,
Yep.
or he could be court-martialed.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Which
I don't
Is that up
know.
there?
I don't know where that line is drawn. Between dishonorable discharge and court martialing. I'm not sure how that part
Well, I think
works.
they could still court martial you and then discharge you. I think they do both. I'm not 100% sure.
so, um, so this is one problem that he could have. We have a concept in the U.S. known as double jeopardy. You can't be tried for the same crime twice. Now, in his case, though, he can be tried in criminal court and also in military court.
Just for his conduct.
Yep. So even if he gets a light sentence in civilian court, the military could, really drop the hammer, or vice versa.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out, especially with so many different laws. Yeah, it's going to take several years, like Christine said, just because of how many different agencies are involved. That's a lot of paperwork, a lot of cross-checking to make sure they have everything tightened up so that, there's no technicalities that lets them off the hook.
Well, so here's the thing. In the military, this whole concept is called dual sovereignty. So what could happen is the federal government, they can put him in prison for wire fraud, and then the Air Force, they can court-martial him for larceny or conduct unbecoming of an officer, or derelict of duty, or just anything like that. So that's how that stacking could actually happen.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Very, very interesting, my friends. All right. So thank you all for joining us this week on this episode. The honor system. I don't know. This one kind of lets you down because you really expect your military personnel to be held to a higher standard. At least I do, especially coming from a family where my father served and retired from the military. So did my grandfather. So did my uncles, both by marriage and blood-related uncles. So that's pretty interesting and scary at the same time, how easy it was to get things off of the military base. What do you guys think in closing?
Don't let the person who's counting the inventory order the inventory.
Yeah.
Come on.
When people ask about controls.
And then loading it in your car.
All right. So thank you for joining us, and we will see everyone next week.
Bye.
See ya.